Welcome to Chai with Viji. Some of you may not know me, but I'm Viji. I'm an Ayurvedic birth expert and founder of Divine Journey, where I help women through all the thresholds of birth in their life, whether that means fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, or otherwise. Every first Sunday of the month, I host a Chai with Viji, where hopefully I present some topics that will be of importance and relevance and helpful in our life. And I'm so glad that you joined me. And yeah, this Chai with Viji this Sunday, we are talking about the air we hold, listening to the winds within. And hopefully by the end of our talk and our gathering today, you'll understand what that means. You're welcome to keep your video off, but if you'd like to interact, that would be fun as well, especially for me, because I wanted this gathering really to be like a satsang where we are here for each other, support each other, and just chat like we're doing over chai. Or if you don't feel like it, you can definitely keep your audio on and we can chat. Yay, somebody's brave enough. Hi. Yes, I know. Awesome. Everybody looks gorgeous. Wow, that is so sweet of all of you. Thank you. Um, oh, one by one. Wow, that's all I had to say, and everyone's just trickling in. Thanks so much. Anyways, I wanted to start with this because I was hoping that, every time I have a chai or anytime I do anything, I wanted to make sure that I at least cover the first four of what I have kind of established as the pillars of the work that I do. And I think that if we're not really aware of basically what the issue, the challenge, or what we're thinking about is, then it's oftentimes obviously going to be challenging um, to grow from it, to become better, and learn from it. So, once we do understand that, like basically bringing awareness to the topic that we are interested in, then understanding where it lands, like the context that it's in, I find is extremely important. It's just like a partner that we have. If we don't know, like we are who we are, but if we don't understand how we interact with anything and everything around us, then it's still not going to land in the best of ways. At least that's what I think. And then from there, having, the tools to be able to up level or support or help us in that journey, I think is really important. And then finally, like holding hands with somebody and being able to, help someone or get help throughout that, I think is really important. From there, when we integrate it into our own lives, I think that's how I feel like this is the five pillars of healing that at least I think are really, really important. And then in that context, today, and always, I always talk about that context within birth. And I don't actually just see this as creating a human being, fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum, because I think it traverses gender as well. How, we grow something within us, how we nurture it, and then even after we've achieved it, I think, there's some kind of reflection that's important. So no matter where we are on our journey, I think that, this is really, really important. So coincidentally, I mean, I know some of you are Ayurvedic practitioners, but as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I couldn't not, talk about doshas. But coincidentally, the previous chai with Viji was about the heat that's within us, right? And related to pitta, the fire, transformation in the body, in the mind, etc. And then today, we're talking about the energy of vata, the air that exists within us. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Next time, and I hope you'll join me in November, we'll talk about kapha, the energy that builds structure, that grounds us, that can also weigh us down. And so these three energetic forces in the world and within us really do impact us. And yeah, and so wanted to talk. Anybody have any questions or thoughts before we start? Nope. Okay, awesome. Interrupt me anytime. Um, So the thing about Vata and the thing about air is I think it's something on all of these doshas when anybody mentions them, I think that other people are thinking, well, this all is very esoteric and it doesn't really, like, I really don't understand how it applies to me and where I'm at in my life or what's going on. And that's why started these chai with Vijis around this concept. Because when we think about air, we can't see it really. I mean, sometimes we can, but we can more understand it by how it interacts with the world and how it touches us, literally. So if, for example, we see on the ground a bunch of leaves, that are well organized and structured, and then like a gust of wind then comes by and disrupts it, and it all gets scattered. We kind of can understand how, like, we may not be able to have seen it, but that's how wind affects us. It has the ability to move us. It has the ability then obviously to scatter us. And then there's a lot of other things that breath or rather air does. And I am curious if any of you, because I really do want this to be interactive. I just gave you an example of the wind outside and how it moves. I'm curious if any of you, whether you know it or not, can share with me how you feel it can extrapolate, or what air in our body, and I haven't explained it yet, but how air in our body can influence us. Because I gave you two hints. One was, something that moves us. So I'm curious. Anything else in our bodies that moves? I know there are a lot of smart people on this call, a lot of smart people. Yes, the ones that are kind of smirking, no. So, but yes, yes, Kyla.
I was just going to say, for me, it's my thoughts and my mind that
Yeah,
move.
thoughts. Yeah, so exactly. So thoughts move. Yes. And there's just a simple one because we wouldn't be alive if a certain air wasn't, working.
Our breath.
Beautiful. Breathing. It's like, any part of our bodies. And I'm really trying to elicit this from you because I kind of want you to understand how how subtle yet how gross, also, like how very important and impactful that is. Like, our heart is beating, that's because of vata, or that's because of air. The blood, like in our in our veins, circulates, that's because of the air and how it moves. Thoughts, like Kyla said. I mean, so there are so many ways in which like that this concept is so important to us, and then we'll see later how it impacts really like every area of our life. Nothing to be necessarily scared about it. I think when we learn about things and we're like, oh my God, like, is it that powerful? Well, yeah, but then we are also equally as powerful and can meet it where it needs to be met, and then change it. So in Ayurveda, concepts are usually described not like, or rather explained based on the qualities that they hold and how it impacts our body. And so when we talk about air today, I wanted to share from our ancient texts how like vata, or how air is described. And you'll see here that it says, it's cold, it's light, it's dry, it's mobile, it's subtle, it's rough. And I think, always when we learn about these kind of things, again, they're just adjectives. But I think it's really important to understand how it impacts our bodies. And in that way, if you think about cold, and even like, why we put food in the refrigerator, it preserves us. So I'm gonna go through how these qualities of air and how they exist in our body support us. And then later we'll talk about how they can also cause imbalance. But the lightness of air enhances like our understanding, and it's really the birthplace of ideas and creativity and creation. Things that are dry can also break things down, like toxins, so it aids in detoxification. It reduces our feeling of being so heavy, and not being able to move. We can kind of adapt to things, and kind of go with the flow. it refines our tissues, and then it also strengthens us. So these are positive ways in which air moves through our body, our minds, our consciousness. And then, there are times where the same energy can negatively impact us. And this is usually why people show up for things, not to hear about the positive ones. But so how does air then, like I think we talked about how it affects our thoughts, and that's just like it scattered the leaves on the ground, it can also scatter our energy. It can make us cold, and then that warmth that we do need to survive kind of weakens. It can really make us feel a bit overwhelmed, and then thus it can weaken or drain us. And then in the body, it can definitely cause that air that can cause dryness, can dry the tissues, make us feel unstable, or unstable rather, and disjointed. So it can really, break us down. And so what I want to then, share with you guys is that these qualities that I've been describing can affect us physically, our bodies, not just outside, but then our tissues. Any idea of how air in general, this concept of movement and air can affect us physically? Yes, Neha?
In our skin with like dry skin.
Yep, dry skin. Very good. And then really, like, if we want to extrapolate then, because, the skin is the largest organ, excuse me, it can, so yes, it can cause dryness and other disruptions, but it can really affect every organ in our body if that's how deep air penetrates. But so Neha just said the first thing. So, but yeah, I want to kind of really show the stark contrast of balance and imbalance, and how, air then really kind of manifests in different ways that we experience and that we may not attribute to really air, because we may not have any connection to or understanding of that. And so if you really look at this list, I mean, there are various times in our life where we do feel, really great. And like I said, no one shows up for the good side. They mostly always show up to really understand why we're not feeling the best of ways. But a lot of people come to me like all the time, with like, I'm feeling bloated, like my hands, my feet are feeling really cold. And sometimes people don't come to me for irregular cycles. I mean, they do, but they don't know that they're coming to me for irregular cycles because, oftentimes we don't pay attention. But when cycle, like, one day your cycle is like, or rather 1 month your cycle is like 2 days. The next day your cycle is 4 days. Next month your cycle is 4 days. Or you're seeing different, I don't want to say symptoms, but presentations of your cycles. This irregularity, if you think about the wind, sometimes it blows like a gust, sometimes it just, a little breeze. These are the ways in which air in our bodies can manifest. And as we get older, they will manifest, in also like in our joints, and how we get dry and we get wrinkles. And I am pointing to myself, but because I happen to have color, my gray, but grayness also, right? So all of these ways in which air does affect. And I want to interject because I don't think I have it anywhere necessarily very apparent in my slides. But we all go through different stages in our life. We start off like luscious and in the growing stage, which is more of what we're talking about next month, kapha. Then we are in our productive stage, which is pitta, and we need to harness that fire. And as we enter the later half of our lives, that's the vata stage. So it's the natural degradative stage of our life. So, when you see this kind of symptomology early, you know that, okay, wait a minute, like it's a bit too early. So, and then, questions that you should be asking yourself is, how do I support this? But this is the way that, air in our body, vata in our body shows up. And before I move on, so what shows up in our tissues then naturally absorbs and also shows up in our inner state, our minds. But before we go there, I'm curious if anyone has any thoughts or questions about, how this manifests in the body, it shows up, how it shows up for you. Okay, no worries. So,
I had a
emotion,
quick question.
yes.
Hey, Vijay. So does like Vata blockage mean like there's also like flow blockage, like there's things not flowing in the body as smoothly as it's supposed to?
Yes, I was going to correct you, but then yeah, you're correct. So, I mean, the natural, I'm using the same word, but then let's see, the natural movement of Vata is flow. So correct, absolutely correct. So when there is, stagnation, so there is some kind of block in that movement of Vata, right? And that could be because there is, so blockage is one aspect. There could be less Vata, insufficient amount of that movement, which is different than blockage. So there are various reasons why things may not happen. It doesn't always have to be because it's blocked. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it. Makes sense.
Right. So, if we're not supporting that movement enough, that's one way in which vata or air in our body can be deranged. It can be an excess, so there's just too much going on. Or, yes, it can absolutely be blocked. And usually when things are blocked, it's because there's something physical, or metaphorically physical that's blocking it.
Is there an example of like how that manifests when there isn't enough?
When there isn't enough vata. Yeah, I mean, the thing there are many ways, and you can look at it at like each. There are many ways, but even like for example, there isn't like when our creativity, or our thought processes are kind like they're not move. We're not as responsive as we want to be. That is one way in which that vata isn't flowing, as clearly or as smoothly or as fast as you may want it to. Does that make sense?
Got it.
Okay. Natasha?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, aches and pains in the body.
Yeah.
Would you list that as well?
Oh,
Or
absolutely. Absolutely. I would. Yes.
yeah,
Very good.
yeah,
Yeah,
thanks.
I'm
absolutely.
curious about like with so if you have too much air then and it can lead to like constipation, bloating,
Right.
but on the other hand, does that mean you need a certain amount of heat to balance it or
Yes, very good. It's not just heat. So yes, so if we go back and let me just go back to that slide here. If we go back to this and we look at like the qualities, the cold, the light, the dry, the mobile, the subtle, the rough, the truth is that like so opposites basically will support each other, right? Like I'm cold, I'm going to put on a sweater. So obviously like I'm going to move towards warmth if the cold is bothering me. But like, if for example, I'm feeling the nature of too much lightness, it's funny because I don't think this person is on this call, but what somebody asked me once about the impact of like psychedelics on them, and you're not feeling tethered when you're on, sometimes when you're not feeling tethered, you're like floating up, and so that is a type of lightness, for example, right? And so then you want something. Warmth will definitely help, but then there's also that sense of being tethered, groundedness, heaviness, those kind of things. So I would say the opposite, like dry, another quality that would support that is more like unctuousness or any type of lubrication, whether it be wet or whether it be something a little bit oily, right? Like, so that's why naturally when someone's skin is dry, what do? They get lotion, or, if you know me, then they'll put a little bit of oil on their body, those kind of things. Something when you're like feeling like too mobile. And I'll give you this example because I obviously I didn't time this very well, or I just didn't avoid it. I traveled yesterday from California to Florida, and my body is like, what time is it? because here I have to look at the clock. It's 12:30, but my mind is like, wait a minute, it's like 9:30, so I have to wake up. But my point is that that's the mobility of the fact that whenever something is moving, it will affect you and it will cause some issues. So then you want to be more grounded. So I was very, very grounded today. Like I didn't, everybody else in the house is like running around and I'm like, I can't do that. So yeah, so these are so absolutely correct, Nita, bringing in the warmth, but then these are the other qualities as well that you bring in. And then, I'm jumping ahead, which I can absolutely do. But if I went to this slide, which I'm going to show next month as well, because it's really important to kind of drill this in, how we get that input, because this is where I feel like people miss the boat. How do we bring warmth? Because you asked me about that. How do we bring, heaviness or groundedness rather, and other qualities that support us is through all of our sense organs, because that's how we interact with the world. Like that's just how we get input into our bodies, whether it's what we see, we smell, we touch, we hear, and we eat. Everybody just focuses on eating. Sometimes it may seem like the lowest hanging fruit. I mean, I really think the other ones are, but I mean, we have to eat every day, and that's something that we, like we kind of more consciously do. But every aspect of this is how, we do that. And a lot of people always ask me, well, wait a minute, like I'm eating everything that you told me to do, but I'm still having problems. Well, okay. And then, I mean, that goes into something that we can talk about today. There's so many kind of like specifics because the devil is in the details, but assuming like you're eating everything correctly, or meaning and correctly means you're eating what should balance what is out of balance for you. And you're not combining foods that are preventing that balance to kind of reform. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, you are a person who's like emaciated and very thin, or having disturbances in your body that has to do with air, and you're eating the right foods, but you are combining them in such a way that your body is not able to utilize those nutrients, then it's, you haven't started the marathon yet, because it's like the machine hasn't been able to start, because it's kind of weighed down by the fact that you're eating things in combinations that are not allowing you to integrate those qualities. But aside from that, these other areas of things, that we hear, that we see, that we smell, that we touch, and I think has two different levels. It's gross, but then it's also like, how do we feel on the inside? What are our thoughts? And this is kind of, I think, the depth that's harder and scarier to kind of go in. Did I answer your question? Ad nausea? Which I always joke because I tend to do that. But anyways, emotionally, then I think I will just jump to the bottom line, because you can see, again, like everybody's going to pay attention to the right side. But I do also want to say that, the reason why every single person on this call is so great, because I definitely, and I see all of the left-hand side qualities as well, right? And I think that it's important to celebrate that. And any of these conversations that I have is never to point out that one is bad and one is good, because that's certainly not the case. There is a subtlety and kind of like and quality to each of us, where we want to up the, like the positive qualities that support us, that drive us, literally, that drive us, but then the other side, which is, the anxiety, the fear, the overwhelm, all of these things, we just need to support, like honestly, before this, I was just showing, because my husband's very visual, and so I was showing him, my slides, and he's like, wow, well, but in order, so that creativity definitely comes from Vata. But then on the other side, like having all of these things, how do you ground yourself so that you can then execute and talk about them? So you see that there's two sides, there's always at least two sides to the coin. But if you are feeling any of these things, the anxiety, the restlessness, and all of that, that is so that there is, then you have to like kind of sit there and be like, I mean, this is what I always do, and I always will then mirror that to you. Where is it coming from? You know, sometimes it might seem obvious, like, well, I'm not achieving this, or this is not happening, or, you know, I'm worried about this. But then, yes, so that's true. But then it's coming, but then I guess we have to look at a deeper level of, you know, why then it's not happening. And usually it will have to do with at least one of these things, if these are the emotions that you're feeling. And, you know, the thing, so why, like, it's so beautiful to then look at like a quality and then see then how it can like manifest, you know, in our minds and in our body. And so the point again is to be able to identify. So when you see anything like, you know, sometimes like we're like so happy and then sometimes we're so sad. This kind of vacillation also is a quality of wind, instability, right? Or throwing us off. And so whenever these kind of things happen, and whenever and however you can recognize these qualities within you, then you're starting to kind of think more, you know, as a person that will own up to their own agency in their life. Like, I think the point, at least for me, is to be able to say, like, how can I have agency over my life? How can I create change from what I either don't want or move towards what I do want? And I think it's that if we do understand, then we slowly start to inculcate these, you know, these qualities that will support us, and then start changing our bodies and our minds so that it can move towards, you know, functioning more healthy. Thoughts? And the thing is, right, like we do stuff like I just said, like I just traveled. So, you know, I'm not going to lie, you know, like everything affects all of us, you know, or like, you know, we're studying for a test, or we are, you know, we're trying something and it's not working. And then, you know, so it, you know, whatever it may be, I think then we just have to recognize that I feel like there's always a price. There is a price for everything. Like, I mean, we go to the grocery store and we can't buy anything without, you know, giving them something. So there's always an exchange. And I think that we have to understand the balance. And so I'm not saying also don't do the things that necessarily scatter you, you know, or cause, you know, some to invoke this quality within us, but always recognize when we ourselves are out of balance. Some people's thresholds are less or more than others. And so we need to be able to recognize that and then say, like, well, let me then implement something that will help me to balance it. Because otherwise, you know, we're all going to go crazy. Yes.
So there's a lot of what you have spoken about. There's a lot of element of self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
And you spoke about that initially as well, to really recognize
Yeah.
what is showing up in your mind, showing up in your body, and just recognizing, maybe sitting with it, that this is why you're feeling imbalance. But is there if it keeps showing up, right? Like if you're like, okay, I temporarily solved it, not really, but you figured out how to deal with it, but then it shows up randomly.
Yeah.
Is there, I don't know, is there something that, on top of self-awareness, something that, a tool that, you know, we can use within our own self to, I don't know, deal with that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think that's a phenomenal question. Honestly, I'm not just saying that. And when you were asking the question, you know, I thought about, I think we all, including myself, there's always some level of ourselves that thinks like, oh my God, I just got through that. Okay, I got it now. I got it. And I don't want to go through that again because I got it. And then guess what? Next week or the month, you know, later, like exactly like you said, you know, it's like something catches you off guard, or, you know, and I'm sorry, I know I'm older than everybody here, so I can say this. I mean, I just think that that's what life is about. I mean, it's so I think like we try to avoid those. So anyways, I'm not going to pontificate. I will share whatever I can think of, but I think that these moments are going to come. And the idea is that as they come, if you kind of, I don't have a bag here, but if you start putting tools in your tool bag or your toolbox, then at least you can kind of open and be like, damn it, like, what do I pull out now? Because that's, so and like you said, I mean, I think I'm quite self-aware, or when I'm not, I know that I need to go somewhere that can bounce it back to me. So I'm always saying to my husband, like, because that's who I go to, but I'm like, I'm feeling this. And then, we kind of, and so he's always going to be that, like, whatever it's called, that the board that bounces back, like, well, is it this? Is it that? And he may not even know what it is, but at least there's that reflection, basically the reflection. So I think that we need to constantly do that, because that's why we're alive. Like, I don't think any human alive is going to avoid those. Then going back to what you shared or asked, I don't know, Natasha, I think the question itself is a profound one, that you then have self-awareness. So I think if you have awareness and then you, like, this is where I go back to this thing, because I think I think I actually spoke to it, right, just right now. This is where, like, this one part is really important. And I can tell you, it's a very lonely world, and I think it's hard. We don't really always feel that we have that support to go to either be that reflection, and remind us. And that's why, like, I always tell people, and I do it myself, like, I'm not in my own house right now, but I will have things in my bedroom, downstairs, everywhere, that has some kind of saying, so that if my eyes catch it, I'm like reminded, oh yeah, like, whatever, like, you've got this. And it doesn't always make you feel better all the time, obviously, right? But so I think I answered it. I think that, like, I think you should start collecting tools, and you kind of have to go to them. And one of the tools that I'll talk about, because air is related to breathing, obviously, is our breath. And so, I tell people, okay, you can do this, you can do that. And I know myself, like, sometimes when I'm feeling like crap and I'm like, okay, I should breathe, I don't want to breathe. I don't want to do it. Right. And so I think, like, so what I do sometimes is I'm like, I have to check out. So I go and I, like, lie down for like 10 minutes. I have to do that because it's too overwhelming and it's too upsetting or infuriating. And then I will come back to be like, take certain things, whether it be, I don't like to take too many things, to be honest with you, but, I do have certain things that I go to. So, whether it be, I love my valerian, or whatever it is, or my essential oils that I will rub on the bottom of my feet, and then I will do the breathing. And I know even before I start that I don't want to do it. And I know the first round of when I do it, I'm not going to feel better. But then I do it the second time and I'm like, oh, I feel a little bit better. I'm not as pissed, or I'm not as anxious. And then, the third or the fourth time, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, well, this actually really does work. And it will. It's just a matter of, like, you got to get over yourself. And I think we all have that. So I don't have the solution to not having those thoughts, because they'll come. But again, it's like I think if you have that anchor, or there's someone on this call that I said to, there was one of my clients, she had the most amazing birth, like, I'm talking perfect. But, we all struggle, because it's not just about one aspect of our life, just like you said, Natasha, that affects us. There are so many other ones. And when that happens, like, I was like, you need to reach out to somebody. And coincidentally, like, they did reach out and it did help them. And so I think that is, so that's just very important. Did it, and I don't even know if it helped, what I said, but I think it's the truth. Yeah.
Made a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. You're welcome so much. Yeah. Where are we? Well, yeah. So I was kind of going into, I know what I'm going to say. Someone very special just joined, right? And so one of the name, her name actually matches one of the things that I would recommend today. But it really means, like, length and depth and breadth, and this word, dirga. And so I think it's important for us to understand that, like, well, however short or however long our life is, we're on this path, and so we have to think about it for the long run. And so again, like, it's arming ourselves with things that will support us, and finding either a person, I mean, either person we have to pay, and I'm not even talking about me, or a person we don't. But that's what, like, or you know, I don't know, talk to the mirror, or I think it's so important. That's why I did that support, because I think we're all so intelligent, powerhouse, amazing women. But sometimes we just need that reflection back to us that reminds us, oh wait, oh my God, yes, I know, because I was buried under a pile of crap that I didn't remember. But oh wait, I do remember. And I think part of deranged vata is also that we lose, or deranged air is that we lose hope. And I think so looking for a place and finding a place of support and hope is so important to this. But yes, but let me just kind of, I don't have to quickly, but let me just move through this. Like, you know, we talked about so many ways in which this affected us, but then going back to like the phases of life that we're in. Oh my gosh, is this? I'm so sorry. Look at me. Look at me. Okay, so this word should not be heat. It should be air. But anyways, so imagine that it says air, but you know, before. So air related to fertility and getting pregnant is really is important, even if we are not trying to get pregnant, because it shows us how deeply it can affect our bodies. And this is where, like, I say all the things, you know, I started out so lightly with the qualities, but how these qualities, when penetrating our body and mind, affects us. So it's not just, for example, about like, I'm going to fart a lot or I'm feeling, you know, bloated, but that it does affect we talked about like the skin, how it dries our skin and how it goes very deeply into our body and can affect so many things that eventually then will impact, because think about air as drying, you know, and so, you know, you have something that's like luscious and nice, whatever it may be, and you throw it into, so I'll tell you, it's very simple. It's a stupid example, but it's so simple. So I was making lunch because I was traveling. I woke up at 3 a.m. yesterday, traveling to Florida, and I was making like food for us, and we had to clean up the refrigerator. And my husband took some of the ingredients that I was going to make, you know, sandwiches out of, and he threw it in the freezer. The freezer is cold. Okay. And so definitely will aggravate vata. Anyway, so I'm like, where's my bell pepper? Where's my cucumber? Well, he just threw it in the freezer. And when I took it out, obviously it was like all shriveled and whatever. So that's actually what happens, you know. So not usable, but anyways, you know, or let's just put it this way. I shouldn't say not usable, but not usable in the best of, you know, conditions, like, cause you know, it's not really going to taste great, but these are the same impacts that happen to our like reproductive tissue. And so all of these things, and we can get into, I am actually just showing these slides and I'm happy to share them with you more for impact so that you understand how all of these things do like impact us in different ways. Right? But if anyone you know or you are experiencing these, then on some level, it is that we have to balance this quality of air within us. I will pause if you want to ask me any questions about this. Otherwise, I will move on to pregnancy. So in pregnancy, right? And you know what, all of us, including me, but I'm still going to highlight all of us, this doing too much, and I hope you can see my cursor moving. You know, it's like, so again, I was sharing from before, we can harness that energy of doing, of moving, of being, of flowing. We can harness it, and that's great. But I just want us, like as Natasha said, all of us, like you have to recognize when it is doing too much, and that's by the symptoms that you're experiencing in your body. And if you recognize that and just say, okay, well, I'm gonna just pull back a little bit, or I'm gonna like I'm going to tell myself how great I am, which is a feeling of warmth. And I'm going to be like, I can do it. That actually will help to balance that so that you could keep going, but must be done. Otherwise, all of these other things, happen. And like sciatica, when like is related to Vata, like when you have like imbalances in your body, like always when people show up to my body work, I'm sure I bother them endlessly, but I'm like, wait a minute, right shoulder is higher than the left shoulder, or this seems tight, or this seems that way, this way. It's because I'm pointing out these things just to bring awareness that on some level, Vata or air is showing up. And again, like, we talk about a lot of the physical aspects, but look at this, right? Like even reduced bonding with baby. Because a lot of times I know so many people who move through pregnancy and they're like, I'm not acting like I'm pregnant. And, somebody I helped recently deliver, it was their third child. She's like, I didn't even know I was pregnant, but anyways, it worked out wonderfully, but still, it's just important to pay attention because the same kind of, and I would say disconnection, happens then in the postpartum. And this is why, so it's one thing very important to understand. Remember I talked about how different stages of our life are characterized by these different energies. And it's so beautiful how like the universe has orchestrated or constructed or architected our lives and everything to be this way. But even if you think about pregnancy just or any type of project, the beginning is the growth, and then we're going to maintain it, and then we don't want any negative things to happen, to our creations, but they're birthed, and then the crucible, if you will, from which we've birthed it, basically is empty, right? And that's so obviously, and we can fill it up with something else, but that crucible is empty because our creation is outside or done, and so postpartum is the Vata time of pregnancy. So there's a lot of dryness. We've got hormones drastically dropping immediately after you give birth. And hormones, by the way, are like that warmth, that fire. So as Neeta said, like, that warmth then disappears from our body. So especially in postpartum, everyone's like, oh, my mother-in-law is saying, I got to stay inside. She's saying I can't go outside. I can't do this. I can't do that. I mean, we have to reframe it. You better act like you're the queen of the place, and, everybody should be serving you and bringing that warmth to you. So that's how we need to reframe this. It's not about restricting. I, of all people, would not do that. However, you just have to understand that in the postpartum, these things happen because naturally, whether you want to control it or not, happen, right? That's why most women have constipation after they deliver. It is because the Vata and the air in our body increases so much. And so we need to that is why these containers have been formed. They may have been, how do I say it, like, hijacked by society, but anyway, so it's very important so that you do not experience these things that happen. If you have so much Vata in your body, and sorry, because I'm always grabbing some part of my body when I'm talking to people about any of these kind of things, but when you have, like, for example, in the postpartum and you want to breastfeed, if there's a lot of dryness in your body, that flow, number one, is not going to be there. Number two, there'll be dryness so that you may not produce enough. So the antidote to that is to create that warmth. And it's like that lusciousness, warmth and wetness in our body to support this. And then what I was actually going to talk about is that, you want to be able to bond with your baby. And if you yourself are feeling all of these things, of course it's difficult to do that. That's not your fault at all. Again, nothing about fault in any of this, nothing about bad in any of this, but just knowing that there's two sides to the coin, and when we support it, then we can help to avoid these things. And I know it's really hard because, again, like, I mean, for mostly I know everybody here, but there are, all of us, like, we are go-getters. We want to do things. We're capable. And I think we find it difficult to ask people for help. But I mean, if anyone wants to speak to this, they can. I won't put you on the spot. But, you know, sometimes things happen where we do need to depend on other people. And when we do, we thrive. You know, so there has to be this balance. And so that's why, again, I talked about the toolbox, like creating that toolbox in advance on some level so that we can dip into it when we need to. Anyone want to share anything? Okay. So, and then finally, sorry, and I will change these slides, I apologize. But when Vata is present in menopause, then you have double trouble here. Why? Because menopause is that natural Vata time of life. And one of the things I'll share with you, going through this at the moment, because it's a natural Vata time of life. What did I tell you about Vata? It's like the wind, and it can kind of, you know, go from one side to the other side, literally, as the wind flows. And so you'll be like, you know, talking to your friend or giving a presentation, and all of a sudden you're like, did somebody turn up the heat? Because like, and you're sweating. And this is what happens, right? Because I want, because we're all women and we're all going to go through this at some point, to understand that those qualities I mentioned, that's how you can extrapolate them. That's how they show up. You might ask why one feels heat, for example, or hot flashes when it's the Vata time of life, and that's air. So we naturally have this Agni or transformative fire within us. And when air blows on it, it can increase it, right? Just like you're stoking a fire, or when it like completely like knocks it out, then the fire is completely gone. And yes, you might feel cold also as well. So that's where this vacillation from one side to the other comes in. But as you can see, there's a lot of similarities, and they apply to the different stages of life. But yeah, that's any questions so far?
I was wondering, like, some of the things that you mentioned, menopause now, but postpartum before that, like we can tap into our tools, but are some of them just unavoidable just because that's how our body or hormones are out of whack? And is something like, is there an acceptance that no matter what we try and how much we try to not control it, but try to manage it, some things just might not be avoidable? Or
Yeah, this is a great question. And this is where, like, you know, this is at least where I rely like on my toolbox of Eastern sciences, where there's an understanding that we are born with a certain template, right? And that template is multifactorial, multi-level. And so there are things that we are born to, you know, struggle with so that we learn, or, you know, and so whatever that template is, we will have to kind of interact with it and manage it. And by the way, just because this is why it is so freaking important to think about and have conscious conception, because when you create health in your body and then create another human being, then their template starts off way better than probably any of us. Because, you know, we're like, that's why these practices were like always spoken about, because we do have agency to create health for the next generation. But I know, but we live in a world that basically almost does every single thing possible to prevent us from doing it. So yeah, it's very hard. But yes, going back, I think, yes, there is a natural degradative process of the body. Obviously, like there are people, you know, theoretically and otherwise that live past, you know, 100. And so they've obviously got a good take on that. Their template would have been good, right? And then they supported it as well. So I think it's both, you know, and there are places where the template might not be good, but if you do the practices that can change your body, that's there. Or it could be that your template is great and you don't do the practices and you may be a little lucky, or, you know, or then you degrade that template as well. So I would say that yes, because we are meant to be born and meant to die, that at some point something's going to stop working. Something's going to say, okay, I'm done. I'm moving on to the next, you know, thing. But for the most part, it is it's the unfortunate answer that it's the same answer they asked me before. For the most part, it's a continuous effort. You know, I know, however tiring, And that's where we have to add a little spice to our life. Like we have to join in circles like this, or we have to have those tools that, so that it doesn't seem like a chore to be able to do it. But unfortunately, last thing I'm going to say is living in this world where we're inundated with like, you have to be this, and this in order to be successful, happy, whatever, of respected, loved. And so to be frank, none of those things match what I'm telling you to, like they don't match always. And so, and I told you about like, the price, there's always a price for everything. So you're like, And so I think that there has at some point in everyone's life, they have to come to some kind of reconciliation of, if they want two things that are seemingly disparate, then how, can I go 90% on both rather than 100 because I'm not able to do the 100 on both, and so that is kind of this push and pull that we have to have. And I'm happy that I don't have all the answers. You guys can, also happily and, very welcome chime in. But I think this is where, I know I have 3 minutes to go through the next 3 slides, but because I do want to respect your time. So just to say that I think, even though, again, like, and I'm one of them, oftentimes, like when I read the question, I would want to be like, well, you tell me, Viji, like what would anchor me, when I feel scattered or depleted. But there are, and I will, but there are things that we can do. But I think it's also just important to recognize, because I may not mention one of the things that you yourself, all of you, may feel to be anchored, or grounded, or feel good, or feel warm. And so that's where your intelligence is far greater than mine, that you will have to tap into that. And oftentimes we don't, because we're like, well, what do you think? Can you do this for me? Not, I don't mean me, but I just mean we all look for that validation or that answer from outside. And I think we just need to start looking in, because we are goddesses, all of us. I'm not just saying that, because we are. I'll send you guys all of this, okay? But basically there are some nice things that we can do, and you'll see some of the keywords here are warm, but these are all basically what these are is what I told you before. Those, let's say, 6 qualities that I mentioned of air, that, they are all balancing of those 6 qualities. Right? And when, for example, there's one here that says eating at regular times, not skipping meals. There's another one that says, and it's not here, but doing things regularly, having a routine, which, by the way, somebody who is like a Vata person does not want to do, they're like, screw you, I don't want any of this. Like, I like to do things here and then there and go where my, my fancy tells me to. But it's really just looking very clearly at like facts, like, when you have this kind of not rigid, but a structured way, then it allows for that scatteredness not to happen as much. That's why these things are there. So you can modify. Ayurveda is not about black and white, certainly at all. It's about a gradient, understanding. That's why I always told you, like, awareness. When you're aware and then you know the tools, then you modify them yourselves to fit. Okay, so we'll go on. So these are some warming remedies that you can do. These are some breathing exercises. So I'll just quickly go through them, right? Like, so Nadi Shodhana is this alternate nostril breathing where you breathe in one side, hold it, breathe out the other, breathe in one side, breathe out the other. That's because it balances your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, right? And both of them do different things. One is like, I'm ready to go. And one is like, please leave me alone because I really need to go inward and rest. And I need to like rejuvenate. So it balances that so that one is not more active than the other. I can teach you any one of these, outside. Brahmari. Brahmari is this breath where you inhale through your nose and then you passively exhale. But while you're doing that, your exhale is done through humming. And that humming creates a vibration in your body that creates warmth. So that also, is there. And then the Dirga Swasana, which is basically Swasana is, or Swasham is breath, but Dirga is that long, extended, lengthy breath. And really, it's just like creating space. And it almost like forces you to kind of slow down and fill up, because it's a 3-part breath, your belly, your chest, and and your upper part of the body, it just helps you to like create that nourishment. So that's that breath. And then Ujjayi breathing is one, again, where it almost forces you to really, slow down. And it's the breath where basically you inhale, and again, you exhale through basically a constricted throat, and you're siphoning out your breath. All of this, actually, I'm happy I can say I made videos on it, so you can check out those videos that I made, but they're really important. And I was going to share something. The reason why the phenomena of the first time you do it, you're like, why the heck am I doing it? The second time, I'm just going to do it because Viji said. And then the third time you slowly start to see, oh, wait a minute, maybe I do feel a little bit better, is because there are 5 different types of air. Maybe another time I will go into it, but there are 5 different types of air. And so they're called panchavayus, pancha meaning 5. And so these 5, so when you're so you should do at least 5 rounds, because you do want to affect all these different types of airs. And these different types of airs are ones that, go from outside to inside. So inhalation, inside to outside, exhalation, and then there's absorption, and there's excretion. And then there's the downward, one that we all use to like eliminate our period blood and our babies, our poops, etc. And so when you do that, you're affecting all 5 of these when you do those 5 rounds. And then obviously there are things that we can do, energetically. I always ask, I was going to do this practice, and I can still do it if all of you are game, but I do it myself. Like right now, I oftentimes sit with my my legs crossed, but when you kind of get off of your chair and put your feet to the ground, and then you start to like connect yourself with something deeper than yourself, because I walk on the ground and I don't realize, but I mean, there's a lot of support that we do have. And it's just reminiscent of us really, again, looking into that toolbox, seeking the support that we want. But anyways, these are really wonderful practices that you can do to ground that energy. Tell me, do you guys have any thoughts, questions, or would you like to, I've put together like just a grounding exercise. I myself have Vata air going a lot because I'm talking, and trying to get all of these slides in an hour. Any thoughts, questions? Anything?
I have a specific question, Viji.
Okay.
About pranayama. Do you recommend Brahmari for pregnant women?
So it's a great question. So when you are creating, when women are pregnant, you have to understand that so there's a lot of growth going on in the body. So it's both kapha, the growth, and also a lot of hormones that are facilitating that growth. And hormones, as I mentioned earlier, are very heating to the body. So there's naturally a lot of warmth in the body, and that's when women I lost my train of thought. But anyways, that's why women feel really hot, like during pregnancy. So Kyla, when you ask me whether I recommend that during pregnancy, you can do it. So when you do Brahmari, actually, one of the practices is to close your ears, close your eyes, close your nose, so that vibration is pretty intense in the body. So I would say that yes, you can do it, but be aware. And if you tend to feel either dizzy or hot, then don't do it. But not closing your sense organs when you're doing it will dissipate some of the heat, because that heat will leave through your sense organs as well. So that's my answer. So shall we do like just a quick, you all can turn off your videos if you want, so that nobody can see you when you're closing your eyes, because I will. And you're welcome to leave if you want. I will, wait, don't leave yet. You're welcome to leave if you want. And I will do this practice that, I wanted to do, just to, again, like really go inwards and get in touch with ourselves. But I wanted to sincerely thank you for all coming and all participating. I really had an amazing time. And whether I know you or not, I still love all of you. So thank you very much. And just promise me that you will promise yourself that if only one thing that you will do to support yourself every day. Just one thing, whether it be like you look in the mirror and be like, you're fucking awesome, or excuse I tend to swear when I'm pretty passionate, but something that you do to support yourself because we need it, because there are tough times going on in the world around us. And so we can't always rely on what's outside of us. We do have to cultivate that internally. So I will be available after this to chit chat and hang if you guys want. But I'm going to turn off my video and you can turn off yours if you want. And I will start this very, not so long practice. And yeah, and then we'll go from there. Now, how do I figure out? There we go. Okay. So again, thank you so much. What I'd like for you to do is find yourself bringing your feet to a place where you can feel the ground beneath you. So whether it be the carpet or the floor, just so that you are in touch with Mother Earth. Make sure that you're comfortable. Let your eyes soften. Make sure that there's no tension between your eyes and your forehead. And just take a nice deep breath through your nose. And then exhale deeply through your mouth and just let everything out. One more time, inhale. And then exhale. Feel your body, the space it takes up, where it's touching something, whether it be the chair that you're sitting in, the floor, or the ground, the bed. And whether or not you consciously are breathing, you are. And that's the air that you intake and that's moving through you. This air has carried you through every thought, every heartbeat, every emotion, and through your life until today. And I want you to be aware of that profound fact that it is because of that air that you are here today. So it's just so very important to thank yourself because you have maintained that air until now. So let's start just feeling how that air travels as you inhale, going to your head, your face, in your sinuses, and as it goes down into your chest, your lungs, and feel that it expands in your chest and then contracts as the air does in our lives. And then let's focus on our belly and know that even the fire of digestion is activated by this air. And then the hips, your legs, the way that your breath and your blood move all the way down to the soles of your feet. These are just some of the ways in which this air lives within you. I want you to imagine a soft golden glow, a ball of energy gathering in your belly, and that is the center of your steadiness. And each time you breathe in, that glow expands and gives you warmth, steadiness, and groundedness. And with every exhale, it spreads throughout your body. Feel that weight. Feel the weight of your body, the support beneath you, the warmth. And I want you to remember that the air within you is something that we need to nurture. It's not a problem necessarily to solve. It's part of who you are, your aliveness. And your strength. So let's take one final deep inhale and then exhale. I just want to remind you that, like I said, this is not a weakness within you. It's something that we just need to be aware of and we need to support always. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh, all of you are still here. Party time. Just kidding. Bye.
Thank you, Viji.
Oh, you're welcome. We can just chat. Anybody feels like chatting, we can chat. I mean, feels like going, we can go.
This was great to get me through the week at least. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard. I think hopefully like we'll put the pieces of the puzzle together next time when we do the other one, right? Because the opposite is heaviness, and that so many people know, everybody knows. What anybody doing anything fun today? Nita, you went somewhere recently, I think, right? I don't know. I saw some pictures somewhere.
Yeah, I was in Italy in
Ooh,
September. Yeah,
nice.
it was really lovely.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yes,
Oh,
it's hard to be back.
I know, I know. Ay, ay, ay.
But good to get some groundedness here, so thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Oh, did you just come back?
No, it's been a couple weeks, but
Oh,
just
okay.
getting back into like trying to create more of, I guess, a fall rhythm and stuff and
Yes.
getting into things. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, you just mentioned this. Just because I wanted to say, like, the seasons also go through this. There's like, so as exactly like you said, there's the cold is going to come in, the dryness is going to come in. So it's almost like perfect time that we're talking about this because this is the time you'll notice like your body will change, and it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's just responding also to outside. So
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. It's crazy, right? Like the same body, the same skin, like will be nice sometimes and then dry other times, and yeah.
Viji, it snowed 4 inches last night here.
Snowed. Oh my God, really?
Yeah. I was not expecting that.
Oh wow.
And it's still on the ground.
Is it early?
Yeah, it's early.
I know.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm in Idaho.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's early.
It's very early. Contrary, here in Florida, it's like so hot. It's hot. It's so funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Viji, I was going to ask you, I missed last month,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if you would be willing to share your slides so that, because I thought your slide presentation was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm just curious to see what you had to say about, because you talked about Pitta, right?
Yeah, I talked about Pitta, and I'm gonna follow this like when I did the Pitta because first, which I don't know whether I should or shouldn't. It doesn't matter, but I just felt like a lot of people in my life were getting like agitated, and at that time there was a lot of heat in the world, so I did fire first, and then when I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna do. I mean, it just naturally flowed. Then I did air right now, and I follow the same kind of because it works, like the same structure. So yeah, and then I'm going to do the same for kapha.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe, well, what I'm going to do, because maybe I'll put it on my YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm like the most anti or non-social media person, but we all have to roll with the punches. So yes, I think I'll do that.
Yeah, I'd be interested in checking that out too.
Oh, you didn't come, Nita,
I
last time?
second that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I
yeah.
was traveling then. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Cool. I'll do that, and I'll forward it to you. So what should we talk about now? What's the next? Or what's our next? Everybody, it's so funny, right? Like that would be. Oh, okay. Everybody search. Oh, okay. I know. Oh, I know. I know. I know. I'm very late to all of this stuff. I promise. Like any one of you has a complete permission to harass me and ask me for it. I'd like to put it because I also have a lot of pitta in me. I want to put it together nicely to show. So I will do that and then I will upload it. So yeah. Are you guys, I won't be there for Halloween. You guys are gonna, do you guys put out candy and stuff? Where are you, Dee? Oh, are you in your backyard?
Yeah,
Oh wow, there's beautiful trees.
I know, I know.
All
There's
you need to do is just go outside and look at those trees.
it's really nice. Actually, we just got this table, so we can actually use the space now. It's a game changer.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, and these trees are like old, old, old. So
That's what I'm saying. They have so much to tell, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Look at this red. There's a redwood tree over here.
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, like, because Natasha asked me, I mean, I just feel like it's just mirrors, like, and I'm really being serious here. Like, I'm sure it has gone through, we've gone through fires in California, winds, and everything, as the whole world has, like everything, but it still has grown and survived and gone up, So I think we just have to keep our eyes on the prize, is what I always feel. Just keep your eyes on the prize.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
I moved here from the East Coast, and I'm tendency to be Vata heavy, or whatever the word is, dominant,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so dry in California.
Yeah.
So I guess
What are we?
all the practices you're saying, I feel like I need to double up on them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right thought process, but especially now with fall, it feels like extra dry and like,
Yeah, I'll say two things, and I'm not just, I don't even know who's asking me the question. But I think, as I say to everybody, you don't need to double down on anything. Just down. Just start doing doing the things, because also doubling down gets us heated up, and heat also causes dryness. But yes, I would say, like, I mean, I think even simple things, right? Like, so in our house, if we have one of those, what's it called? Humidifiers, just to bring moisture in the air, or like, honestly, like doing oiling before you get into the shower, or and then washing yourself. And yes, I mean, there's, like, if you physically feel that way, then like protecting yourself when you go outside, and just, so it's, as much as possible, create a traveling bubble. And I don't mean like you can't go anywhere. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, do things that no matter where you go, you're like supporting yourself. I have a tendency to very easily get Vata disturbed. So like, I'm always, even in summer, wearing a jacket, but it's just doing things that will support you. And yeah, and then doing that from the inside out will help you.
I love that. Yeah. And I'm Neely, by the way. I'm just joining, and it's so nice to have a little community of people
I know.
like-minded. So I love this. And yeah, thank you.
I'm just deeply thankful that everybody came on video, because it's fun, because I think it's so easy to feel so lonely. I mean, it is lonely. It's lonely.
Yeah. I'll do a video another time. I just came
Oh,
out
no,
of the
no worries.
hospital, and I'm a little,
No.
I had a rough week. So
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
supportive women is the place I want to be.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks for coming. Nita, hi.
I was going to say thank you and head out. Yeah, I
Oh,
appreciate it.
okay. You're welcome. It's lovely to see you.
Likewise. Yeah.
Okay.
Take care, everyone.
Bye. Who's there? You're dropping? Okay.
Yeah. Bye, Viji.
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Neha, did you finish school? Okie dokie. Well, it's lovely, guys. Thank you for joining me and have a happy Sunday. And I will hopefully see you next time. Okay, bye.